everyone, and welcome to Coffee Talk with the USA IDA. I am your host, Colleen Quigley-Carey, and I am pumped to be with you today. We're doing something a little different today. For the first time in Coffee Talk history, we have one of our dancers here with us. I am very happy to welcome Sarah Schiffer. Hi, Sarah.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. Sarah is in California right now, in San Diego, and she is a dancer at the Ahern Sheehan School in New York City. So we're going to get into all of that, how she's in California and still dancing in New York at the same time. But really, we thought it was super important to highlight some of our senior dancers who are working so hard to balance their dancing, their schoolwork, whatever type of social life they can have right now during the time of COVID. And Sarah's teachers came to me and was like, we have this awesome student and she'd be great to have on the show. And I was like, awesome, bring her on. Because Sarah, on top of doing everything else, has not missed a Zoom class, not one Zoom Irish dance class, including her 21st birthday. So if that's not to be applauded, I don't know what is. So Sarah, amazing. So let's get into it. So Sarah, you are an opens level dancer. Mm-hmm. You just finished up your junior year at FIT, which is so impressive, guys. FIT is a super competitive school to get into in New York City. It's the Fashion Institute of Technology. And I believe that you are studying the business of fashion management, right?
Yeah, I am, which is really
so
fun.
Cool. That's really cool. And then you'll have to see, here's the other thing too, is like, Irish dance teachers, we love our fashion, but it's been COVID, so we haven't had a chance to really dress up that much. So I feel like Sarah will also be an excellent consultant for us when we are ready to like parade our fashions.
And we can dress up again too.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. But you've been balancing all of that with your Irish dancing. Mm-hmm. And just talking with you briefly before we started the filming today, it sounds like you have a really great Irish dance story. So you are from California originally, right? And that's where you started your dancing?
Yeah. I think I've been dancing for like about 13 years now. So like all of that's been in California.
That's great. So then you came out to New York City. And so you danced from like the time you were then like 7 years old or so?
Yeah, 7 or 8.
7 or 8, and you came out to school in New York, and you had kind of stopped doing your Irish dancing at that point.
Yeah, when I went back home for like summer break and like winter break, I would take some classes, but I wasn't like, competing or anything. And then when I was at school, there's a little dance studio, so like once in a while, I would like go and practice some of my dances because I missed it.
Oh, and so then you've heard about Ahern Sheehan, which has classes in New York City, and you started going back pretty recently, right?
Yeah, I joined their school in February of 2020 and took like 5 dance classes with them before the whole world shut down and had to move back home.
Oh my gosh. So in those 5 classes, you obviously really got that motivation and that love back for dance, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Everyone like welcomed me with open arms, so it was really nice to be in that environment again because I felt like I was missing that because at school like it is competitive and it was kind of hard for me to find my own group. So when I went back to Irish dance, I felt like that sense of home, even though I wasn't like home in California.
Oh, I love that. I always think that too. I think that, a healthy environment where, everyone is in it together, working really hard, physically working hard, mentally working hard, under the tutelage of like really special teachers who know all of that, and are pushing you to do your best. I think it's such a wonderful place for young people, but it's really nice to hear that from the perspectives of someone who's actually in college as well. Because I know like for high schoolers and middle schoolers, it's such a great environment, but like, people think sometimes, well, I'm going to kind of try my own thing. And it's incredible how people find their way back to Irish dancing sometimes because I think it offers that when it's done in a really great way. And obviously Ahern Sheehan is a great school and super lovely people and teachers. So, all right. So February 2020, you're doing like 5 classes, you're learning your steps, or like, what was that even like? Like, were you learning your choreography at that time? Were you just kind of getting back into doing drills? Like, what were you working on?
Yeah, I was. They had like a few students like teach me some of the steps outside, so then I was able to go back into the dance class and like try it out with them. And then I think we also did drills too in the
Hmm.
class. So it was like a mixture of everything.
So it's like you just like you went in 5 days, almost like 5 classes, like a boot camp almost, kind of getting yourself back into it. And then it was like world shuts down. You have to fly back to Cali, which I'm sure was kind of probably nerve wracking to just, have to go through packing up from your dorm or apartment very quickly. And then the plane ride back, I'm sure was kind of like that has had to be a lot for you.
It was. I had like a meltdown trying to pack up everything by myself in such a short amount of time too. And then it was weird on the plane. There was like only like 10-ish people on the plane. It was so empty. It was really weird.
Yeah. And the whole, yeah, that is an experience that well, yeah, but you'll look back on it and you'll be like, I was able to do that when the pressure was on. I'll be able to do so much more in life. Like if you have a hard deadline coming up and you just don't know how you're going to do it, you'll remember that you were able to do that. That tenacity is important. But so you get back home, and so now not only are you in the middle of a pandemic, which is scary and overwhelming, your classes now must have all been moved online, which is a whole other level of, the professors are trying to figure out what they're doing. You're trying to figure out where you are as far as, in your coursework, what needs to be done. Did I pack this book with me? Do I have this with me here? And then you're like, oh yeah, I just started back at my Irish dancing and I have to learn my slip jig, treble jig, my set piece. I need to work on my drills, my kick, the whole thing. So how did you, like, that first kind of like first 2 weeks back, how did you just like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to figure this out. How did you do that?
Are you talking about with dance class and school or just
All of it together. Like, how did you come up with your initial plan? Like, okay, it's COVID, I'm back home, I'm going to figure this out. How did you even tackle that?
So I'll like start with school first. Like school is so important, so I'm like I'll get it done either way. Like some of my professors just moved it so it's just like an online format. We don't meet. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really like that so much because I felt like I was missing out. But then some of them were on like Zoom and everything like that, so I felt like that was good. So I kind of had to create a schedule, even though like the classes were still East Coast time, so I had class at like 5 a.m. and like 6 a.m. I don't know how
Oh,
I did that, but I did. So at least I don't have to do that again if we go back in the fall. But I just kind of try to create a schedule for me because I knew I wanted to still get good grades and like I still worked hard to do that. And then with dance, I didn't have like a dance floor or anything at home, so I created like a little square dance floor to put in my garage. And then my mom does ballet at a ballet studio, so she had extra Marley, so I could use that so I wasn't slipping on the wood. So I
that's amazing.
schedule for myself.
So, in the first few weeks of COVID, Sarah got her class schedule all together. She sat down, she made herself a schedule for all of her schoolwork. These are all important tips for other dancers who are, even now that we're moving out of into a post-COVID world, these tips are really important. So she sat down, she looked at what she had, she made herself a schedule. She knew some days were going to be super early. She just did it. That, I'm telling you, that kind of stuff comes from your Irish dance training as a young child. Just like, all right, that's what we got to do. We're going to do it. And she,
Mornings get you up.
exactly.
Like just throwing myself out of bed.
and you also built yourself a dance. She found a way to make her dancing fit in. And even when she was at school, when she was saying that she found the small dance studio and just went in and just danced around a little bit, she found a way. Because I always say I grew up in an apartment building, and I would dance up and down the hallways, and I would dance in the lobby, and I would sometimes ask the superintendent if I could practice in like the storage room and put down some flooring. When there's a will, there's a way. And so I think that that's really important. And so then you're doing your classes, you figured out your schedule, which is epic and awesome. And then you're making it to dance class via Zoom. So how many times a week, like, do you normally attend dance class with your teachers?
Like 2 times a week on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Like Wednesdays is a normal like dance class, and then Thursdays is like a drills class, so everyone's on Zoom.
And obviously, Zoom can be tricky and Zoom can be challenging. How did you find the experience, especially coming back into Irish dancing from having a little bit of a break? How did you find it at first? And like, how did you kind of settle in once it got going?
It was kind of weird, but I feel like my teachers really made it work. Like for the drills class, they play the music on their end and we're all muted, and then we just do the drills. Like we start whenever we hear the start because everyone starts at different times. And then they like stop the music and give us each corrections. So I think that's really good. And then we can like mute ourselves if necessary. And then for our normal dance classes, like most of the class is like in the dance studio with masks on, and then there's like 3 of us that's on Zoom. So we have a teacher on Zoom, and then there's a teacher in the dance class. So I think that's good. And then whenever it's our turn to dance, we unmute ourselves and play music on our end so they can hear if we're on time or not.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's
a really great job with that.
Oh, that's so awesome. I'm so glad it's been good. And then outside of those classes, what would you say like your practice schedule would be? Because, like you were saying, is that you took a break and now your big goal is to get back into competing, and you haven't done that for a little while, which please do not be overwhelmed by it. Like it's so nice when you're able to come to any of the USAID feshes, it's very, it's a real family atmosphere. It's a little bit different maybe than some feshes you're used to, which is awesome. It's still super competitive. Like the dancers are amazing.
Yeah, but like videos on little clips through the Instagram.
They're so good. But like I know, we're so excited to have you. But the feeling is very familial. And I think that there's a little bit of we're all in this together type thing, which sounds like you've experienced through your Zoom. So outside of that, like what would you like, obviously like you're not like, okay, I have a fesh tomorrow or I have the provincial tomorrow, you know what I mean? Like you have a little more time. So what have you been doing as far as like your practice schedule and like focusing on in your practice outside of class?
Yeah, normally I don't really have a schedule when I practice. It's whenever like I don't have a lot of homework. Usually it's like on the weekends or like on Monday. But I try to take some corrections that my teacher told me at dance class, and then try to like work on that when I'm practicing.
That's great.
Improve little things.
Now, you said also that your mom does ballet. Does she ever like come out and kind of check out what you're doing, give any hints, or you're kind of like, thanks, Mom, I'm okay?
I don't really do that. I just like, if I want to see like what I'm working on, I'll just like videotape myself and like look back at it. But normally like during the Zoom classes, since I'm in the garage, my family like comes in and out so many times. Like, oh my God, just leave me alone.
That's okay.
What? My grandma, like my parents walking in, I'm like...
So seriously, Sarah, last year during one of my Zoom classes, we would get streakers, like the little brothers and sisters. Like it tended to be like bath time for them when their older siblings were dancing, and the amount of like little kids just running through. We had a streaker. We had another one who was like drawing on the wall behind her sister while she was dancing. We've had so many funny experiences on Zoom as the teachers. Please, there's like nothing we haven't seen at this point. Grandma coming to visit while you're dancing is totally nothing. But I know, because I also feel like, everything was so crazy last year that the Zoom dance classes, it was also like a really fun socialization, time, because everyone's kind of going through the same thing. So was that nice for you to feel like you were a little bit connected with your dance school, but not just in a dancing way, like you actually were part of the crew with the dancers and teachers and things like that?
Yeah, like last spring we had like weekly Zoom calls with everyone, and we like played games. So I felt like that was a nice way to kind of learn everyone. I still like, it's different because it's on Zoom and you don't get to talk to people individually, but I at least can see like people's personalities and everything. So that was nice. And you can really see like the sense of community in the school, which I love.
That's so nice. So like on top of your 2 classes, you also would do a little social Zoom. That's great. That's great. And I know so many schools that did things like that. And I think that's so important because besides just being physically a great dancer and mentally focused for competition and prepared for class, just like your overall mental health and happiness, especially, for our young people, that is so important. And it's really cool to see how many of our like USA IDA members prioritize that for their dancers. Mm-hmm. That's really cool.
It was nice to see everyone too. Because at the beginning of the pandemic, you didn't see anyone, so it was nice to see everyone's faces on Zoom so you didn't feel alone.
Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that now as things are starting to open up and you already have built those relationships, I'm very hopeful for our dancers who've been attending classes via Zoom when they're able to get back into the dance studio, that they'll have just like a seamless transition. Obviously, you might be a little nervous or a little worried, but honestly, like, everyone kind of already has seen you in your home. They've seen you kind of at your best. I'm sure there've been days where you've just been like, girl, this hard shoe's rough today, like my toe is just not pointed, whatever it might be. They've been there through that part of the journey, and you've all been through this like crazy time together. Mm-hmm. So I think it should be a lot of fun, once you get back into the classroom, or the studio rather.
Yeah, to that. Back in the fall, I think I will, but we'll see.
Well, listen, let's really hope and just be prepared for anything. Now, you were saying too that you just finished your finals, and I'm assuming based on talking to you that they went well, because I can tell you are an extremely motivated young lady. You're also starting an internship in a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. Now, on like the 14th, so I have like 2 weeks. I can't.
And is that in person, or are you doing that via Zoom?
Mm-hmm. Through Zoom, I think. I don't really know if we're like on Zoom all the time. I don't think so, but I think we'll have like meetings on Zoom. I think the whole company is remote right now, but they're based in California, so I don't have to wake up at like 5 in the morning.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, is this New York City time? Because so again, so you're really not giving yourself that much of a break, which is great. Like, you're so industrious. That's fantastic. So you're going to be starting your work from home internship and still doing your dancing. So, what would you say for a dancer who is maybe in high school right now and is doing some type of a summer job, still wanting to continue on with like their training with Irish dancing? What would you say for them? Like, what's the most important things that you think they should prioritize, and what should they just kind of like relax about and not worry as much about?
I would say like just for like when you're dancing, just like try to have fun. And like try to improve the little things. Don't freak out over like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting this. Don't stress out, because I tend to do that a lot. I feel myself like when I'm dancing, I'm like, oh, that doesn't look good, but I just need to find like the little things I am improving on, because little improvements leads to bigger improvements in the end.
Okay, so we need that on a t-shirt, everybody. Little improvements lead to bigger improvements at the end. So true. And it's so nice, like, speaking to a dancer who really gets that, because as dance teachers, like, I know how frustrating it can be when we pick out the smallest little things. Like if you're going into a click and let's say the bottom toe is like not pointed, but your click is still gorgeous, right? But we're fixated on that one thing. And if you fix that something just that small, it makes such a huge difference. And it also is easier to digest, right? It's really hard when you leave a class and you're like, oh man, my whole hornpipe, oof, rough today, and I have so much to work on. And if you focus on just something really small, well, let me just get this one treble, let me get it down, or let me just get this one heel rhythm down. It just makes it better, and you start feeling a lot better about it.
Yeah, I still have rough days, but it's nice when like they see improvement in like a certain area that you've been working on. So
yeah, absolutely. Now, speaking of small improvements, you also participated in the patch program.
Yeah.
And how did you enjoy that?
I like that because it gave me something to work towards in the end, and like I felt stronger and more confident in some of the things we had to work on. So,
yeah, because the opens patches definitely have a lot of tricky things in them, designed specifically to challenge you guys, because once you're opens level, I mean, you know how to dance, you know your basics, you've obviously got nice rhythm, you know, you have all that kind of stuff. So it's like, well, what can we do to push these dancers to become even better versions of themselves? It's not easy. It wasn't like, okay, do a treble and you're going to get a patch for opens. For other levels, yeah, sometimes doing a treble is going to get you a patch. But when you're that level, like, you know, it's intense. And I know so much thought and care went into the program. So I'm always interested to hear like how it was, like what it was like, and doing it over Zoom. And and I think, you know, again, sometimes it's hard to quantify like those improvements when you don't necessarily have like that end in sight. Like, well, like we were saying before, it's like, well, you don't have the fesh this weekend, or you don't have the provincial or worlds or whatever it might be, but knowing like, oh, I've got my skills testing for my fitness patch next week, I better get my planks or whatever, you know, you're working on.
Yeah, I felt it gave you a nice goal to work towards at the end of the month.
And now you have a cool patch, and it will go with all your cool fashion. We can have Sarah just like help us design like a cool, like, you know, jean jacket or something with like a new line at the Spirit Wear store. Oh, that's awesome. And now, Sarah, it sounds like also your school did some video projects or video challenges that you also participated in. Tell me about that.
I can't remember exactly. Oh, it was for like some of the festivals. So it was fun to like send in a clip of us doing like a certain move. I think some of them was like the beginning of our reel or something, or it's different. And then they made a video and submitted it for like the Irish Festival, I think it was for. So I was doing that because it also gave me something to work towards instead of doing like dance classes. It was fun to like dress up in I think we just had to wear all black and do our hair, but it was fun to actually dress up because we haven't done anything.
I know, right? And that's just like we were saying before with like the TCRG fashion. Like, you know, this is literally a onesie. It is a very warm onesie, which I love wearing and worn it around the house a lot. And it's really nice to like start putting like real fancy stuff back on again.
Makeup too, because I haven't really been doing that. So it's nice to like get outside and like film the dances and everything.
Oh, for sure. Oh, well, Sarah, seriously, this has been such a blast talking with you. You are obviously an outstanding young person, and like so excited to have someone like you and all of our other incredible student dancer athletes working so hard through this crazy past year. Is there any one piece of advice as we close our conversation that you would have for a dancer in a very competitive college program? If they have maybe said, oh, you know, I've stepped away a little bit from Irish dancing, or might take a little bit of a break, like, what would you say to them as far as like maybe just kind of either sticking with it or like not giving up through the challenging times?
Honestly, like, don't give up. If there's something you love, you need to continue to do it, because that's where you'll be the most happiest. Like, for me, I love what I'm learning, even though like it could be hard at sometimes and it's very competitive. It's still fun, and I know that I will enjoy my career for like a really long time, and I won't be stuck in something I'm not happy in. And even for dance, I would still like continue to dance even though like school might be rough, because dance is a great place to just like relax, even though like you're still competing and everything, but it's nice to take your mind off of things and do something you love.
Oh, Sarah, that's awesome advice. Well, thank you so much. This was so much fun. We have to talk to more dancers because this was great. I love hearing the perspective of you guys and how everything has been going for you, because I really do feel that we are starting to turn a corner. And although things may never be exactly the way they were, that might not be a bad thing, right? The resilience that you guys have shown through the past year has been incredible. So, Sarah, I know that literally the world is your oyster, girl. Go on and manage that fashion business, go work, go do you. And I can't wait to see you back on the East Coast sometime soon.
I can't wait to meet everyone and like see everyone's new faces that I have not seen because I haven't competed over there.
And also because we've been wearing masks. Honestly, Sarah, this is a new world for all of us. Well, Sarah, good luck with your internship. Keep up the hard work at your dancing, and I cannot wait to see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, this is us saying goodbye from Coffee Talk. We'll see you soon.